Family court isn't about families. It's about funding. Title 4D of the Social Security Act literally rewards states for collecting child support.
Talking about men don't have no control. Shut the hell up. They got all the control.
I just had a bench warrant issued for me from the family court system in Kansas. And guys, there's not a better example of why you should stay single and not have children.
So since you quit the job, you didn't get fired from the job, I'm not gonna lower the child support payment because you made a decision to quit. That's what the judges will say. And that's what he's not talking about right now. I don't care what a man say. I don't care what men say. Honestly, men are the biggest victim mentality, self-victimizing people on the face of the planet. And they're always projecting. They're always talking about how somebody else is playing the victim, right? I'm gonna educate you, man, in 1 second. A victim mentality is essentially a person who is not a victim cosplaying a victim. So you're not victimized, you're cosplaying being victimized, right? That is men. Who is most likely to be victimized? Who is most likely to be the perpetrator? Right? So women by default can't have a victim mentality because they are victims. They are victims of the system. If they're rich women, if they're poor women, it doesn't matter. Every woman is a victim of the system. Black people cannot have victim mentalities. Black people are victims of the system. That doesn't, now, we can talk about to what mitigating, degrees you are a victim and all of that stuff because oppression is a sliding scale. So my son, who is growing up upper middle class, has way more access and resources than I did as a poor child growing up in the ghetto, right? Two different lifestyles. So my expectation for my son, bare minimum, is for him to go to college, get out, get a degree, and get a well-paying job. That's my bare minimum for my son. Like staying out of prison, and that's an afterthought for me. My mom, for me to survive relatively unharmed and intact. Because I was literally living in a war zone when I was growing up. I got shot at many a times. I had many a guns pulled on me, and getting shot at one time is plenty, but I got shot at multiple times. I've been in multiple drive-by situations. I've been in cars where the person I was in a car with started shooting at people. I didn't know they was like all types of crazy shit. All types of crazy shit, right? So my mom was just trying to make sure that I just made it, like physically intact, somewhat mentally intact. That was her number one job. She wasn't like, babe, you got to go to college and da-da-da-da. She could have done that, should have done that. My father wasn't there. All of those things, right? The expectations are different. To some mitigating degrees, yes, cool. So my son, I don't hear my son talking about, it was hard, Dad. No excuses, son. You have everything, every possible, resource afforded to you. Different. I get that. Back to the point. Men are not victims of the patriarchy the same way women are. Men are victims of the patriarchy, but not to the same extent as women are. And they aren't by default victims of the patriarchy, right? So when men get online or whatever the case may be, and they start bemoaning the system that men built, and if you take it a step further, it's not only that men built these institutions to favor men and to protect men's interests. That's a part of it. Because, cool, you're right. Not every man did that. Because I didn't do that. I didn't personally build the justice system, or the injustice system, as I like to call it. I didn't build the child court system. Me personally, I didn't build it. I didn't. But I'm a man and I have power, and I could tear it down if I wanted to. See what I'm saying? I could start a campaign to make it more equitable for the children, starting with the kids. If I care so much about the kids, I could do that, which I am doing that on my platform, but neither here nor there. I'm just talking about, in the colloquial sense, men, right? So you could do that as a man, but you're not doing it. You can do that as a man, but you're not doing it. So I don't want to hear you complain about a system that was built by men for men, and then you get on the internet trying to gaslight us into believing that the system isn't built for you or it doesn't favor men because you're not getting your intended outcome, which is to punish the woman 99.9% of the time. That's why y'all always feel like the system favors women, because it doesn't in a lot of cases. And in most cases, it does punish the women, but in a lot of cases, it doesn't punish the woman. In the cases when you men are talking about it specifically, like your specific case, you feel like the woman and the child aren't suffering enough. And you're like, yeah, see, I was always told that I can weaponize the system against women and it's not working the way that I want it to work. Therefore, I'm going to say that this system favors women. Not true at all.
Let's talk about what this really is. It's not a system. It's an industry. Family court isn't about families. It's about funding. Title 4D of the Social Security Act literally rewards states for collecting child support. For every dollar collected, they get reimbursed by the federal government. For every dollar they get kickbacks from the federal government. The more they collect, the more they get. So if you think about it, the way that it works is the less time a father has with his child, the more money the state makes. That's how it works. The more conflict there is, the more hours lawyers bill.
What lawyers? I'm so confused. So you're talking about are you talking about the lawyers or are you talking about the government? Because you're saying it's an industry. I get that. So are you including the lawyers in this industry? And I'm trying to figure out, where do the lawyers come into play? Are you claiming that the lawyers are lobbying for these laws to benefit women? That was just a random statement that you made to me based on because you're talking about the government and now you're talking about the lawyers, and one is government and one is private, right? One is, publicly owned, which is the government, publicly owned, and the other is privately owned, which are lawyers. And you're saying that lawyers can bill. That's every industry, lawyers bill. The fuck are you talking about?
The more supervision, the more evaluators get paid.
That's not true. Evaluators don't get paid per person they evaluate. They're on salary or hourly. If they work for the government, they're on salary or hourly. There's no pay for play type situation. They're not on commission. I don't know one government employee that gets paid commission. Not one. This is where I wanted to start, because this is what I'm talking about. So these men get on the internet and misinterpret facts, right? The thing that he talked about, the Title 4D or whatever. Sir, do you know why the government gives the local governments money, the state and the city money for collecting child support? Because it costs money to collect child support. You need to pay judges. You need to pay clerks. You need to pay the I guess you want to call the people the clerks, but I'm talking about you need to pay the clerks inside. You need to pay bailiffs. You need to pay the people to clean the court. Like, it costs money to keep it up. It costs money to have people investigate. It costs money to do that. It costs money to file paperwork. It costs money to do that. That's why they pay them. Nobody's getting rich off a child support court, believe it or not. Also, I want you to understand this. If they get so much money off of child support, why is the average child support payment so goddamn low? Why is it $450 $500, $430, $440, $450. Why wouldn't they just make? Why won't they raise the child support payments? Also, why are there so many men in arrears? If they get money for all the money that they collect, then they're not doing a good job at collecting the money, is my point. Because most women don't receive, most children don't receive their full child support. So they're doing a terrible job of collecting it if that's their job. If there's so much, listen to what I'm saying, y'all. If the way they're trying to paint it is these people are money hungry, right? Which if I worked for the child support, like the court system, I don't give a fuck. As long as they paying me, I'm gonna do my job. But I don't care if you pay or not. They're gonna pay me regardless, right? That's so. If you're trying to sell me on the idea that these people are directly benefiting from that, you have to show me the paper trail, because you're just correlating things that aren't connected whatsoever. Bottom line is, the majority of men get off when it comes to child support. Also, what percentage of men are on child support? What percentage of fathers are on child support? Are half fathers on child support? Over half, or significantly less than half? It's less. Like, what are you talking about? This argument is so tired. And like I said, men are the biggest self-victimizers on the fucking planet. Listen to this story. Listen to this story. Tell me where anybody is to blame but him.
I just had a bench warrant issued for me from the family court system of Kansas. And guys, there's not a better example of why you should stay single and not have children than the story that I'm about to share with you. You see, you don't actually have control over your life, especially if you're married and you have children. She has control over it.
How? How don't you have control over your life? I want to ask y'all a question. If men don't have any control over their life, tell me this. How many states make it illegal for a man to leave his pregnant wife? Then answer me this. How many states is it illegal for a pregnant woman to leave her wife, her husband? Second question, how many states are actively trying to make it illegal for pregnant women to leave their husbands? How many states are trying to make it illegal for husbands to leave their pregnant wives? Talking about men don't have no control. Shut the hell up. They got all the control.
And if she decides she just wants to change one day, is tired of it, thinks the grass is greener on the other side, not only does she have control of your future, the family court system does as well. But a bench warrant was issued for me today. First time I have ever in my life been in trouble with the law.
I just want to say something real quick. The majority of the majority of men that have children don't go to family court. The majority of men who have, let me repeat it. The majority of men who have children don't go to family court. You're in the minority. You're in the minority. So talking about this in a way as if this applies to most men is disingenuous right off the bat. Most people don't go to family court. So you're already projecting.
I'm a law-abiding citizen. But this story is absolutely wild because they issued this bench warrant because they said, I'm not paying my child support. It's because I'm in arrears of my child support. The thing is, I do pay my child support. It's just not the amount that the courts established.
Then you don't pay your child support.
But here's why. Even though I showed them my paycheck, I have a part-time job. The reason why I have a part-time job is because I filed for disability over 3.5 years ago. And if you know anything about the disability system that you have to fall under to qualify for it, you cannot make more than $1,400 a month gross. That's before taxes. So after taxes are taken out of my check, at best, I'm getting around $1,000 to $1,100 a month. At best. Now, I don't have a set schedule. They call me as needed. So there's some months I might literally only make $500 a month. There's some month I might make $1,000. There's some months I might not make anything. But the family court system awarded her $908 a month in child support for my 2 children. This is a cautionary tale. I am 54 years old. I have a 7 and a 5-year-old. I guess.
Why? A 7 and a 5-year-old at your age. Why? You're a dummy. You did again. Listen to what. Remember what I said at the beginning? Everything that he is complaining about, he has done it to himself.
You could say I fell in love with the wrong person. When I was 40 and she was 29, we met. We dated for 7 years. I saw her. I didn't see a life without her. I'll put it that way. And when the talk of kids came up, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm 47 years old and I've got one arm. See, I've battled bone cancer twice in my life, and I had my arm amputated back in 2006. And all I could think about was the fear of, number one, I don't know what it's like to raise a baby with one arm. My other children are grown, and I had 2 arms whenever I raised them. But now I'm 47 and have one arm. She's going to have to take on more responsibility than the average mom, because I can't get up in the middle of the night and feed a baby or change a diaper with one arm.
Cap.
So we had that discussion, and she said she would gladly take it on. And I'm like, well, my reasons aren't good enough then. Let's have children. So we had 2 boys.
So you mean to tell me, this is what I'm saying. She is young. She's never had kids. You had 2 kids. You knew what it took. You knew you wouldn't be up to the task. You let a woman who never had children, who was 11 years your junior, convince you that it was going to be okay. What is the use in being with an older man? Like, what is the use of being older and not being like, no, I'm not having any more kids? Stop lying, bro. You did this shit to yourself. Also, you just said you got your arm amputated in 2006. That means you've been working a fucking normal job this whole time. Now, all of a sudden, you want to file for disability? Fuck out of here. That's the court system, the family court system. I've seen it 1,000 times. The dudes, I've seen dudes make $5,000 a month. They get put on child support. Now they want to go work at the Piggly Wiggly and make $2,000 a month. And the judge is like, why did you quit your job at the factory to work at the Piggly Wiggly? And they be like, oh, you know, I've literally watched a dude fumble, like couldn't come up with a valid reason. But everybody knew what the reason was. It was just so he wouldn't have to pay so much child support, which is stupid because your net is still higher than it is when you go work at the fucking Piggly Wiggly. Your overall benefit is still better working at the job where you make $5,000 a month and you pay $800 in child support than when you work at the Piggly Wiggly, make $2,000 a month and pay $300 in child support. You're a dummy, and that's what be happening, right? So I believe, is trying to pull one of those right now, and that's why he said, "Oh, I showed him my check," and the judge said, "So what? Why did you quit your job? Why are you trying to get on that right now? Like, what are you doing? You've been working this whole time with one arm. 2006. That's 19 years. So it'd be different if he just got his arm amputated. Got it. He just got cancer. I hear you. I would understand more. You've been 19 years later, and you said you've been trying to get on it for 3 years, and your oldest baby is 5. So after your babies were born, that's when you decided to get. Yeah, I see why they didn't believe you.
Well, as my youngest one hit about 3 years old, she decided that life looked better with another guy. Let's just say that. And so she went to greener pastures and filed for child support. And while she filed for child support, the courts kept looking at what my income was before I filed for disability, which was a decent amount of money. And they were basing $908 a month in child support based on that. And I kept showing them and telling them, I do not work anymore. I filed for disability. I don't work for that company anymore. Yes, I'm.
Y'all know this is what I'm saying. Listen to what he's saying. They would ask you, why don't you work anymore? Listen, you expect us to, he's leaving out everything. He's leaving out what he did to his woman, all that stuff. We're going to ignore all of that. Let's just talk about the court shit. So you showed them the paper. You said, look, this is my paycheck stub. This is whatever. I don't work there anymore. Cool. What did the judge say to you? Right? I know that the judge was like, well, why don't you work there anymore? Did you get fired? He said, no, I quit. Why did you quit? Because I wanted to get disability. That's not a reason to quit. So since you quit the job, you didn't get fired from the job, I'm not gonna lower the child support payment because you made a decision to quit. That's what the judges will say. And that's what he's not talking about right now.
I'm still considered an employee, but I'm an inactive employee while I'm fighting for my disability. And I kept trying to show them my pay stubs of where I'm actually working part-time, making scraps. But the court system decided they were going to award her $908 a month. Well, needless to say, I can't pay $908 a month. But what they do in the state of Kansas is, by law, they can take up to 55% of my take-home pay. So if I get $100, she gets 55 of it. If I get $200, she gets 110. There are months that it's slim pickings like that I am having to try to live off of literally $200, $300, $400, $500 a month, while she gets a bigger chunk of it. But even though they might take, let's say, $200 a month in child support out of my checks, that's still $708 that goes into arrears each month, piling up.
Do you think, how hard is her life? She has the kids. You're giving her $200 a month, $150 a month, $110 a month. But you're, again, listen to the victim mentality. He's crying about what he's going through, but not what she's going through, raising the 2 kids, and not what his kids are going through. It's all about him. It's all about him.
Well, they issued a bench warrant today stating that the only way for me to get the arrest warrant handled is to pay the lump sum of all my back child support, which is $22,500. Now, keep in mind, I haven't missed a single month of child support. I've paid the maximum of what the state will literally let them take out. And if I can't pay $908 a month while fighting for my disability for over 3.5 years, what makes them think I've got $22,500 laying around?
They don't, but you're going to jail no matter what. And you should go to jail because you did this to yourself. You played a stupid ass game. You quit your job. You didn't get fired. You just said, look, listen, y'all, listen to what happened. He literally just said he is still technically on the for the company he was working for before. He hasn't fired nor quit necessarily on paper. He's still on the docket. I mean, he's still on the, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to call it, but he's still It shows that he's a part of the company. So you didn't quit or get fired. Why did you leave? So you can get disability? That's stupid. That's dumb. And that's not her fault that you made a dumb decision. Also, you're mad at the wrong group of people. You're mad at the child court system when if you were going to be mad at anybody, you should be mad at the disability, at the SSI department, right? Instead of you being mad at the SSI department, you're mad at the mother of your children and the child court system, the family court system, for decisions that you made. You no accountability. He has made poor decisions. Also, I want to clock something. He never married that woman. He had 2 children with her, never married her. Because he didn't say she left me and got alimony. She left me and took half my stuff. He said she left me and got child support. Because you guys were never married. So you were with this woman for 7 years, impregnated her twice, and never married her. She left you for another man, allegedly, who she probably is married to. Again, you're bad.
The realization I'm 54, I will be paying child support for the rest of my life. I'll never be able to afford my own place. As it sits now, technically, I guess you could say I'm homeless. But here's the real kicker. Since I knew that I couldn't provide the complete $908 a month, I talked to her and I said, what if I watched the kids and you didn't have to pay daycare? And see, daycare costs are put into the calculation of what child support will be. I am literally saving her over $2,000 a month by watching my kids every single day.
Listen, he is telling on himself left and right. They only asked him to pay $900 total. Child care alone, not food, not shelter, nothing else. Just child care alone is $2,000 a month. He just said it out his own raggedy ass mouth. He's only paying $900. That's not even half of just the child support, just the child care alone. Do you hear? I don't want to hear men complain anymore. You can't complain. This is y'all leader. It be men like this getting up there lying to y'all, telling y'all fucking woe is me stories. And at every single turn you see, he did all of this to himself. All of it.
Taking them to school, picking them up from school. My youngest is in pre-K this year. I'm literally saving her over $2,000 a month. And then she still gets the $908. So every tax return that I file, she gets. Now that if I get arrested, my kids aren't gonna have their dad at home watching them, and she's gonna have to start paying for childcare. I've never broke a law in my life. If you wonder why guys, dads, single dads, divorced dads, take the drastic steps to unalive themselves, it's because of stories like this.
Nah, they be some pussies. They be some assholes. They unalive the whole family. If you wonder why dads kill their wives, kill their exes, kill the children, it's stories like this when they did everything to themselves and they have a fucking victim mentality and they're fucking weak. They're weak as fuck and they're mad and they're bitter because they fucked up and they don't want to take accountability that they kill everybody and themselves. That's what, say that part, because that's what it really is. And that you are even uttering these words, that woman should get a restraining order against you, and you should not be around your children anymore or her. And then you wonder why she don't want you watching the kids.
I went from one day living a happy life at home with a family to losing my family, not seeing my kids, being homeless, to now maybe being put in prison because I can't afford the whole amount of child support, even though I pay what I can. What's a jail sentence for owing $22,500? How long is
Probably a few months, probably 90 days.
that in prison? Who calculates that? This is why, guys, especially you younger, think very long and hard whether you want to have children or not, because the system is not built to protect you.
It's not, it is built to protect you, but I'm saying it shouldn't be built to protect you. It is built to protect you, but it shouldn't be built to protect you. And like I said, like I said earlier, it's not about, he don't care nothing about his kids.
It's built to incentivize women to take their children and leave if they're just simply not happy.
It just makes it plausible and feasible. But you just said you're only paying $900 and she's paying $2,000 in childcare. You're not even covering the childcare, sir. You're not even covering the childcare. And you want me to feel bad for you? I don't. You did all of this to yourself. You are a 40-year-old man dealing with a 29-year-old woman. You knew everything about raising kids. You had already had a family. They were already grown. And instead of you taking that information and that knowledge into consideration, you wanted to trap that woman with babies because you thought that that would keep her there, right? You thought that that would keep her there. It didn't. You abused her during the relationship. She left you. You say for another man. I doubt it. But she left you. And now you're whining about all of the bad decisions you have made and you want everybody else to take accountability for it, right? This is all I got to say to you, brother.
Lock 'em up.